All right, hello, welcome everybody. I'm Tom. I'm here by myself at the moment. George may or may not be joining us today. He has a birthday in his immediate family, so he thought he was going to be able to maybe jump in for 45 minutes. We'll see. He's got an invitation, so that may be a guest appearance, but no promises. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, we will go without him. So hello to everybody. Not the best day of all time, but it is a Friday. It's the end of the week. This was a roller coaster week. A lot to talk about. A lot happened with Bitcoin. A lot happened to the Bitcoin miners. A lot happened in the market. We got some data today that really was, I think, important data, which was the jobs report. So I just want to talk a little bit about that. Even if it sounds boring, we'll keep it brief. And I think it was important, and I think it really, really tipped the scales on the Fed situation. So that's for that reason alone, it's worth talking about. We'll get to all of that. So first, I just want to say hello to some people that have mentioned in the chat. So hello to some members: Wesley, Edmund, Barry, Darren, Sour Melon Gaming, Craig, Mr. J. Let's see if I've missed anybody. Old Jock, Omer, Calvin. Sorry if I've said hello twice. Barry, Wesley. So I have not read all the chats. I will try to catch up, but I first did want to just scroll through and say hello to everybody who is joining us, and hello to everybody else. So, welcome to all. If you're here, please do me a big favor. It's free. Can you please smash the like button? It helps the stream out a lot. And after the last few days, I have a feeling this stream is going to need all the help it can get. So we got 15 likes right now. Let's see if we can smash the like button, get some more likes going, get some more people here to talk on a Friday where this is also in the U.S. This is a long weekend. So I know we have people from all over. Feel free to drop in the chat. I always like to see where everybody's from, so I'll share that with everyone. We have people from all over, but in the U.S., this is a 3-day weekend. So no trading on Monday, but obviously there's Bitcoin never stops. So for Bitcoin, you know, the action will continue all weekend long for the Bitcoin miners in the U.S., and Canada, I don't know. Canada, I assume the Canadian Bitcoin miners. So there's several miners, as you guys may know or may not know. If you're from Canada, you certainly know, that trade on 2 exchanges. And actually, there's other miners that trade on different exchanges around the world. So I think we cover now, on my chart, I have 19 Bitcoin miners. There are several other. I've been talking about making a second list, and I think there's 6 or 7 that should come off the list I have onto a new list, and there's 5 or 6 more that can go onto that list. One of which is Sato, which reached out and said hello to us on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it right now. So just want to give them a shout out. I believe they're a Canadian miner. So I did read their press release after he said hello. And so there was only 2 companies that gave released their August information today. The only major company was Bitfarms, so we'll definitely go through that. Also, I put out a Bitfarms video. If you have not seen it, I recommend it, whether you're in Bitfarms or not in Bitfarms. I think Bitfarms is one of the most widely misunderstood Bitcoin miners. So you can go through, let me know if you agree with me, disagree with me, but I think it's worth a watch just so that you know the real information. As you guys know, this is not advice. You guys buy or sell whatever you want, but I do spend a lot of time deep diving these things, and I come up with some information that's not always readily available. And sometimes some of this information, as is always the case with the Bitcoin miners, sometimes some of this information is a little counterintuitive. So, without doing a deep dive, it's hard to know exactly what's going on with some of these miners, especially since this is a new industry. So the reporting across Bitcoin miners, the financial reporting, is very different from miner to miner. And that has a lot to do with two things. Number one, there are several different countries of origin. And number two, people just haven't come up with basically a consensus on how they're going to report everything the way they have in, most other mature industries, which is, the vast majority of publicly traded stocks are in, much more mature industries than this. This is still Bitcoin's very new. The big publicly traded Bitcoin miners, are, they're brand new. A couple of years ago, there was next to none. Now there's a bunch. So, and it's growing, and I expect it to grow. I think there's a lot of upside in these Bitcoin miners. I think there's a lot of upside in Bitcoin. And that's why I spend so much of my time on it. I know that's why a lot of you are subscribed to the channel, and I know that's why a lot of you are members on the channel. So special thanks to all the members. Again, if you're not a member and you're interested, it's only $5 a month. We use YouTube, so you can just hit the join button on YouTube. And for $5 a month, you can be a member. There's some additional content. We have a members-only live stream once a week. Also, we have a members-only Discord, and it sends $5 to the channel, and it does help a lot. So much appreciation to all the existing members, a lot of whom are on the stream right now. So otherwise, every Friday we do a live stream available to the public. We did do a special live stream on Tuesday, which is our members only. We did dedicate, I said it was going to be 15 minutes, but it turned out to be more like 25 minutes. But there was big news on Tuesday, and that's part of what I want to talk about today. There was big news on Tuesday. We had a huge, gigantic day in Bitcoin and an even much bigger day in the Bitcoin miners. But we basically completely retraced all of that subsequent to that. So I want to talk about why I think that happened. I want to get your opinion on why you guys think that happened. So we'll do some polls to try to figure that out as well. I'll try to get to some comments. We're at 31 likes. I'm just going to ask if you guys could please smash the like button. It does help out the stream a lot. Like I said, it was a tough week, so the stream could use help. Craig said, not a great week. Could be worse if they move. Hold on, timeout. I'm just seeing pop up. Mr. J gifted 1 Talking Investing membership. So when somebody gifts a membership at random, somebody on the stream is chosen and they receive one. So Chuck, it said Chuck just received that. So Chuck, you can thank Mr. J, and you are now a member of the Talking Investing squad for the next month. So you can check out the members-only content. You can join us on the live streams on Tuesdays, and you can link up to the members-only Discord. All right, welcome to Talking Investing. Interested? So thank you very much, Mr. J. Much appreciated. Okay, so let's check out some comments. And first, I'm just going to get a poll going because we're kind of on the brink here. So I want to get everybody's opinion. So I'm going to ask this a simple way for now, and then we'll get more detailed later. Oh, pressed the wrong button. Sorry, guys. This is my... Okay, start poll. The technology. Sometimes I'm a little... slow. All right, so super simple poll. Is 25K going to hold as support? We didn't quite bounce off. For those of you who have been on the channel for a long time, you will know that 25,200, this purple line's been on here for a long, long time. I think this is a very strong line of support. I'm on the 15-minute time frame, which is zoomed in. We didn't quite touch it, but we did get down to 25,307, so we got very close. Is this going to hold, welcome to Talking Investing. Or is this going to break? Okay, first of all, next we have Phonebookson member for 11 months. So he did a member chat. 11 months and counting. Here's to 11 more. Thank you, Phonebookson. So you are one of the originals. I think we go back maybe just 11 or 12 months. So, and I know there's a bunch of you who have been with us, anywhere from, 10 or 11 months. So thank you for those who have been here for a long time. Thank you to those of you who are brand new, and all are welcome. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to try and read a few chats. I'm going to go right to the most recent because it's going to be impossible for me to catch up. Let's see. Crypto Fever, welcome. Crypto Fever said hello, everyone. Chris Dominator, Mara is the king. George by Mara. So George has not joined us yet. For those of you who were late, George may or may not join us. He has a birthday in the family that he has to attend to today. So he did think he was going to get a chance to join us for a while. So he may wind up on the stream. He may wind up in the chat. We'll see what happens. So I don't know, Chris Dominator, I could have swore I saw, maybe I just didn't understand. I think you left a comment on one of the videos and it had to do with Marathon and Riot, and I almost thought you were pro Riot, but I know you've been very, very consistently pro Marathon all along. I've come around, I've come a long way, and I've just tried to follow the data and, see what's happening. And, so I'm patiently waiting. It's September 1st. Bitfarms put out their August information. None of the other major Bitcoin miners put out their information today. So I was a little disappointed. Last month, I will tell you, by January 4th, by the 4th day of the month, at least 2/3 had reported. Now, we're on the 1st, we only had one. We're rolling into a weekend, so on the 2nd and the 3rd, we're not going to get any. In the U.S., the 4th is a holiday, so I'm doubtful anybody's going to release information then. So I think it's going to be January 5th before we get another report, unless a couple happen to report Friday night, which could happen. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm impatiently waiting for everybody's info. This is the time of each month that's very exciting if you follow the Bitcoin miners. It's one of the things that I like about investing in these companies, the level of transparency that they've gotten to, and this has been an evolution, but by putting out a monthly report with such detail, and the amount of detail varies, but most of them are now providing a significant amount of detail on a monthly basis, and you can really get a sense as to what direction the company's heading in. There is some information that really you only get in the quarterly reports. So, obviously they're not issuing a full financial statements every single month, but they do issue a lot of important information on a monthly basis. And for me, I was very impressed with Bitfarms report. So if you want to know why, we can talk about that later, and you can watch my video that I put out today, and I went through in detail some stuff that I feel like people are missing on Bitfarms. So, obviously, I always say it's not financial advice because it's not. Make up your own mind, but I do think, information is power, so I try and just provide as much information as I can. All right, let me see. Chris Dominator, I am all in on Riot now. Is that real? Or are you messing with me? But I will switch back to Mara later. Okay, so I don't know. So Chris is saying he switched, and Chris is a longtime Marathon fan. And I don't know if he's telling the truth or just messing with me, but I will tell you, I've done the same thing over the years between Marathon and Riot. I have a big position in Riot right now, and I don't have one in Marathon. But my original stock that I bought out of all these, the first Bitcoin mining company I ever bought stock in was Marathon. The second one was Bitfarms. So, I took the first ride up with Marathon. And, it's been, obviously, you guys know, it's been a roller coaster for all of these companies along the way. Okay, Crypto Fever's asking, Mr. J, you still think Fed hiking rates in September? We will do a poll on that later because that is definitely a big question now. I'm going to call this a Bitcoin pump. We have two 15-minute green candles in a row, so I'm exaggerating, but we're back up to 25.8-ish. So so far we have not quite touched 25,200, which is this purple line. So we'll see if we get there. We got very close today. We didn't quite get all the way there, but that's what I'm keeping my eye on. That's what the current poll is right now. Is 25K going to hold as support? This is an extremely close poll, so if you have not voted, obviously it's free to vote. Take a vote in the poll because this is neck and neck. Well, it's spreading out a little bit now, but it's still pretty close. It was very close a minute ago. And if you just joined us, if you would be so kind to smash the like button, it helps the stream out a lot. Much appreciated. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you've seen any of our videos, if you join us on the live streams, if you enjoy this content in any way, shape, or form, or if you're just feeling generous, you can hit the subscribe button. It is free, of course. And it helps the channel out also. There. That's enough of that. I'm going to leave this poll open a little while longer. Does look like yes is pulling away a little bit, but this is still very, very close poll. All things considered. So we're pretty split here. So just talking about the board for the minute. These are the Bitcoin miners that you should be seeing. The last couple, I think my head is in the way of. So where does this split off if I look? So, well, all you're missing is DMG, which was down 1%. And I include MicroStrategy on this list at everybody's request, but it's being blocked right now. They were down 1.6%. So not big moves in those. There were some small moves today, but there were some larger moves. This was not a catastrophic day. Like we had a massive, massive up day on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we pulled Bitcoin, retraced all the way back. The Bitcoin miners, depending on which one, retraced part of the way back. So you're going to see the big movers today. Iris Energy was down 6%. BitDeer was down 6%. TeraWolf was down 5%. CleanSpark actually looks like the worst one on the board. Nope, CleanSpark was the second worst, down 7.3%. So of the Bitcoin miners, that have a market cap of $250 million or more, that was the biggest down move. Then there's a big drop off, down to about, $50 or $60 million and lower. So of those companies, Stronghold, those are the microcap and nanocap companies. I like to distinguish and differentiate because, microcap and nanocap companies can have much, much bigger moves because there's usually less volume. It's less market cap to control and manipulate. And, if those aren't the words you like, substitute whatever word you want, but it's easier to move those companies by far. Obviously, it's easier to move a $20 million company than a $600 million company or a $2 billion company. And that's the range that these go through. I'll just quickly go. I think I have a chart open here somewhere of market cap. So here's market cap. So you can see, and this is 1 week old. This is as of last Friday, so I need to update this. But, these are in the ballpark. You can see there's 12 companies that have market cap. I'm going to count Bit Digital above 200. It was at 199. We'll see where it is right now. But, from 200 million up to 2 billion, that's where these 12 companies reside. And then there's a gigantic drop-off down to Argo Blockchain is the next largest. And then below that, you'll see Argo here. You'll see Stronghold, DMG, Greed, DigiHost, Any, Mawson. Mawson had gotten down to $8 million market cap. They were priced to go out of business twice. They've gone up a little bit since then. And there's some others that aren't even on the list, and that's what I'm saying. So there's probably 4 or 5 more that I could put on this list that are very small market cap. But as you can see, I focus on these 12 because that's where even these are mostly small. a lot of these are micro cap stocks. And, you know, the biggest of them are at the small side of small cap. So, you know, that's why I say this is a very new industry. And there's been gigantic swings in these stock prices and market caps. So, let's go back to the chart. All right, so Stronghold, you know, being a smaller market cap, it was down almost 9%. Mawson was down 5.6%. And then you can see the rest of these were not really noteworthy. The two biggest by market cap, Marathon, and I got to check and see because these two flip-flop this week, and let's see if they moved backwards. So Marathon did pass Riot earlier this week in market cap. We'll see if that reversed. I'll check that in a minute. But Riot was down 2.7%. Marathon was down 4.5%. And then BitDeer is the third largest market cap, which is... That is a stock that confuses me. I don't understand it. I think it trades on extremely low volume. It makes no sense to me. But having said that, it had a gigantic run up this year. It's pulling back a little right now. But let's check Marathon and Riot and just see who's in first. So, you know, my quick cheat for this is Yahoo Finance. This is reasonably accurate. When I do my numbers, if possible, when the quarterly reports come out, I double check the share counts against what Yahoo uses to calculate these. So they're, for the most part, they're accurate. Okay, so Riot's at 2.04 billion according to this right here, and okay, Marathon's at 2.09, so they're at a virtual tie right now in market cap. They are the two biggest by far. In third place is BitDeer, which is now 1.4. So there's a little bit of distance. That's $600 million. These got very close at one point within the last week, which was boggling my mind. But they've separated a little bit. So I will put out, so just for those of you not familiar with the channel, let me just show you. I put this information out every single week. So over the weekend, you'll get a video like this. And basically, so this is as of last Friday. You'll see I go through and show what happened to each Bitcoin miner for the week. So as of last Friday, last week, Mawson was down 55%. Mawson got destroyed. DigiHost was down 27%. This is 1 week old information. I'm just showing you what I do every weekend. So if you want to check out this video, will be coming out either on the weekend or Monday. So you can see, you know, last week was a red week. This week, I think all in, and it was a roller coaster ride. I think there's going to be more Bitcoin miners that were green on the week than red. So at one point, we were off to the races this week, but obviously, you know, things turned around. So we do that. And then I've been looking at what was a 6-week window of time, because Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners peaked about 6 weeks ago. And now as of this week, that's 7 weeks ago. So I'll update this list. You can see, I mean, the majority of these Bitcoin miners have had a 40+% pullback in what is now a 7-week period of time. So if you think the fundamentals haven't changed and there's a Bitcoin miner that you like, there's the potential that there's some buying opportunities here. I have been dollar cost averaging in. I have 3 that I've really focused on lately. So I'll talk about what those are. I did release those to the members only on Tuesday, and then on, I don't know what to call it anymore. What's everybody calling Twitter? I'm pretty new to Twitter. I just really started using Twitter 1 month ago, and I know it's not even Twitter anymore. Now it's X. So I don't know. The platform formerly known as Twitter, I let everybody know there what my top 3 are, and most of the members could easily guess because we talk about this all the time on the channel. So for me, the 3 that I've been dollar cost averaging in, and I did the same 3 again this week. There are others that I do small positions in. I did swing trade in and out of a position, and you know, there was a quick double to be had, but you know, most of what I do is not that. So if I see something screaming at me, I'll do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so I know some of you make a lot of money on swing trades. So, or buying options or selling options. I did buy some options today, so I'll also let everybody know what options I bought today. Okay, I'm seeing Edmund saying, at McNally Money, glad to see you here on Fridays. You have excellent content, especially enjoy your Iris and Wolf interviews/reviews. So thank you, Edmund. And I guess I have not been paying attention to the chat. Usually when George is here with me, we're between the two of us, we're able to stay a little more up to date in the chat. So for those of you who know me, I do struggle a little on my own. I get talking about whatever I'm talking about. Bryce, if you're here, hello and welcome. Yes, McNally Money. Had a great chat with Hut and Wolf this week. I'm adding to both. So welcome to the stream. And yeah, I saw that. Was there another one? No, it was Hut and Wolf. That's right. Yep, so I did watch both of those. So that was good stuff. I'm patiently waiting for Hut. You know, I think we're maybe 2 weeks away from that vote being finalized. And so I think there's good things coming for Hut. Let me see what I just missed. Okay, Tom, welcome to Talkin' Investing. Tom Persky just joined and became a member. So welcome. Thank you very much for joining, and welcome to the Talkin' Investing Squad. Like I said, there's a bunch of videos ready and waiting for you should you choose to watch them, and you can join us Tuesdays on the members only live stream. So welcome, and thank you very much for joining. Much appreciated. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, and Bryce was nice enough to have me on his channel, and we had a nice talk. So if you haven't seen that, you can check that out on his channel as well. And he does talk to a lot, not only a lot of the Bitcoin executives, but a lot of other people in the Bitcoin industry and outside. So a lot of interesting content there. So thanks for joining us. Let's see. Bootsy said I have a limit order at 23,500 so apparently for Bitcoin. And Darren's calling for Bitcoin 22,500. So I'm gonna end this poll because it's very close. We'll get to the next poll. Is 25,000 gonna hold as support? So I will tell you, 55% said yes, 45% said no. This is, that's almost within a margin of error to say this is very split. So I think that really summarizes the way people are feeling right now about Bitcoin. Massive uncertainty. This speaks to the uncertainty. People don't know which way we're going. I will tell you right now, whichever way we go, and I do think we're headed back up. I continue to say, until 25 breaks, it has proven itself as very strong support. So I have no reason to believe it's going to break. That doesn't mean it won't or it can't. If it does, then I will probably wait and do some more dollar cost averaging, maybe at 22.5 and then again at 20 if they go to those levels. I don't see any of those levels coming, but about 45% of you do, and it's certainly not out of the question. I mean, Bitcoin does what it does. And in the short term, it's very, very difficult to predict. And the thing that really, there was a technical trade that was set up almost to perfection. And then the news came out on the Bitcoin, the grayscale decision. And it totally destroyed that technical trade. So I do think that even though everything went to, through the roof on that one day, I think we lost what would have been a much better trade over the next 2 weeks. It could get back on track and we could finish out that technical trade, but it kind of broke due to that news. And, people had a massive reaction to that news. I do think it was very good news. They had a massive reaction. It switched all the technicals. And then as everybody digested it, I think they've had an overreaction to the downside. As soon as people did, there was almost a euphoria that, grayscale won. And, people, whether they, thought it through all the way or not, to some extent, people felt like Grayscale won, therefore Bitcoin ETF immediately. And that's just not what happened, as most of you probably know. So now, because it's not an immediate reward, people are overreacting to the downside as that sank in. But I think that's a mistake too, because although this, that does not mean that Grayscale gets to automatically convert their trust to a spot ETF, I do think it's another gigantic move in the direction of a Bitcoin ETF, which I think is imminent. They can hold this off for a short period of time, in my opinion. Now it's just... Now, I think it's just stubbornness. There's nobody, including Gary Gensler. If you got him off the record, I guarantee you he knows there's there's never 100% chance of anything, but he knows there's a Bitcoin ETF coming sooner than later. I don't know what his deal is with this, so, who knows? And I'll never know, but that notwithstanding, that, in my opinion, there's an extremely high likelihood that is on the way. And when that happens, the reaction that we got on Tuesday is going to be very small, in my opinion, compared to, the reaction that we're going to have in a short window of time. And they'll try to trick us again. And we may get wild swings up and down for a few days. But the money that's going to come into Bitcoin once there's an ETF is going to be, it's going to dwarf the amount of money that's in there already, just because there's so much traditional money that does not have access to Bitcoin right now. They just don't. I know most of the places that I have my money, that, my friends have their money, they couldn't buy Bitcoin if they wanted to. They have to take their money out of there and go bring it somewhere else to make it happen. So that will all change when there's a Bitcoin ETF. Every single broker is going to be able to, make that trade for people. And there's an awful lot of people, and it's probably not this crowd. This crowd may want to buy Bitcoin directly or trade in the miners or both, but, the vast majority of people are not in Bitcoin. It still has tiny adoption compared to, the total number of people and the total of amount of available money. So a lot more money's coming. I think it's coming sooner than later. That doesn't mean this week, but it does, I think, before the halving, all of this happens, in my opinion. So we had a vote on that a couple of weeks ago, and it was pretty split, but almost everybody thought, whether it was before or after the halving, almost everybody in that particular poll thought it would certainly happen by the end of 2024. So that's no guarantee, but I agree with that. Crypto Fever agrees with Darren 100%. Let's see what Darren said. Don't get me wrong. I'm still, as I have been since April, calling Bitcoin 35,000, October, November, but we're going lower before up. So Darren's with a lot of people that think, we're going to go down before we go up. We just saw that poll. It was a virtual split. Duckman, Stronghold Digital. So I've been in and out of Stronghold all the way along. I'm out right now, but it's not because I don't like them. They're one of 3 or 4 stocks I got a nice run out of. So I took my profit because I have a group. Well, it's really 4 stocks at this point that I'm committed to, most of which I've held now for a couple of years, other than Iris Energy is a new position for me. And by new, I mean 2023. So, I've been in it I've been averaging in for 7 or 8 months now. So that's still fairly new versus the other positions. But I'm committed to holding those through, well past the halving into, however long it takes Bitcoin to do what it's ultimately going to do, in my opinion. I'm bullish on Bitcoin, so, I believe we have much, much higher numbers ahead. So for the Bitcoin miners that survive, and, some of these, the crypto winter was an absolute existential threat for a lot of the Bitcoin miners. Even though a lot of them didn't go out of business, it changed their business in such a way that they will never be what they hoped they were going to be. They're forever relegated to nano cap or micro cap status. But they did survive, a lot of them. So, there's no telling. The halving, depending on where Bitcoin is, may present a challenge again for a lot of these miners. But some will survive. That's how this goes. There's typically winners and losers, and I think this is no different. I feel like I have a high level of conviction in really more than 4 of these. I've chosen 4 that I've invested more heavily in, but there's probably 6 or 7 of these that I think are going to do very well over the course of time. There's 6 or 7 that I think need Bitcoin to make a big move or they're going to be in trouble at the halving, and then there's maybe 5 in the middle that, I have less conviction in, that, we'll see what happens. So, some of each. Okay, we got 57 likes. Thank you very much to 57 people. If you could do us a big favor and smash the like button, it would be much appreciated. It helps the stream out a lot. And this was a rough week, so the stream needs all the help that it can get. Nash V, welcome if I have not said hello. Nash V said we're in a transitional period. Michael Anthony, hello. Bitcoin and miners jump, then start another sell-off again, like everyone just trading, then investing. So, yeah, these are very volatile assets. There's just no way around it. The underlying asset, which is Bitcoin, is extremely volatile. The miners are really a leveraged play on, a leveraged play on a volatile asset. So for those of you who are sick of hearing it, if you watch my videos, I say that in every video at least one time. In fact, it gets edited out. I say it probably 10 times, and, we cut 8 of them out just so that the videos aren't too long. But I do that for a reason, because that is reality. This is highly volatile stuff. This should be the risk portion of your portfolio. So, everybody's set up differently and has different amounts based on your age, your risk tolerance, your investment strategy. But I hope everybody doesn't have all of their money in ultra high risk portion of their portfolio and no other parts to their portfolio. That's, if you do and you're in a position to, and that's the money, that you've set aside for that, so be it. But just know, as long as you know your risk, if you understand your risk and your risk tolerance, then everybody's free to take as much risk as they want to. But it is important to understand, even the stocks that I have a very high level of conviction in, that I think are very high quality stocks, these are, they're still risky plays and a lot of volatility. And we're not getting away from the volatility anytime soon. Now, hopefully, over the course of time, they're volatile in a way that trends upward. And if I go to the 1-day time frame, Bitcoin itself, all year this year, so I'm going to do my arrow that I have been doing all year. From the bottom, this is a double bottom. This line right here at 15,460, we hit this. November 9th, we hit this. That was, the 8th and the 9th was the FTX trade. That's when Bitcoin really dropped off a cliff. We retested this, just a few weeks later. That was a double bottom. That was the bottom. Since then, the trend has been up. So we're up. At one point, we were up over 100%. We're not up over 100% anymore. We've pulled back from there. But inside of that, and I'm going to delete this, so you can see this is a 9-month trend here. We're out a little ways out to, today is September 1st. So from last November 8th to September 1st, that's a long trend. But within that, you're going to see these 2 arrows. These are both 20% pullbacks, and that doesn't count. This is a third one. This was a pretty short window of time. From February 21st to March 10th, we had another 20% pullback. So inside of this 8 or 9 or 10 month trend here going upward, we've had 20% pullbacks. That's volatility. That's what I mean by, Bitcoin is the underlying asset, and it is volatile. In a 6-month window of time, it doubled, and in a 9-month window of time, it's had 20+% pullbacks, right? If the stock market behaved this way, people would, lose their mind. So that's the underlying, but this is why I feel we're still in a bull market. There's nothing about this structure right here that says we've broken to the downside, but it's why I'm paying extremely close attention to this purple line at 25,200. You'll see this goes all the way back to August of 2022. So this is over a year ago. That was the crypto winter. You'll see we fell off a cliff. We had one relief rally in the middle of that crypto winter. We got up to Bitcoin 25,000. So that was a big move up. That was a gigantic relief rally at that point. That was a 43% relief rally. From that point, that then stood as resistance for a long time. It bumped into that in February of 2023 and failed. And then as soon as it crossed in March of 2023, it has not closed a daily candle below that since. So to me, this is the line in the sand. If we start closing daily candles 2 in a row has always been my personal rule. If we close one day below and the next day we reverse and go right back up, then that's a fake out, right? We're all familiar with fake outs. I don't care who you are. If you are in trading, you've been faked out. I know I have. So for me, I always look for that second daily candle as some amount of confirmation. And then, obviously a weekly candle is much stronger than that. But for now, even at the daily time frame, this has held very, very strong. So I think that's important. If we go below this, then you can see I don't have a lot of lines of support. I have some what I call very weak lines of support in the middle. And then to me, a very strong line at about, this is 19,988. So for simplicity purposes, call it 20,000. To me, that's a super strong line of support. So the drop from 25, if we lose 25, I think it's reasonable to say we could drop as low as 20. So that's how I'm looking at this. I don't think we're going to lose 25. I felt strongly about that when we tested it here. I felt strongly each time we've tested it here. So, just because I've been right so far doesn't mean, this time isn't the time. That's the thing. You hate retesting and retesting and retesting because all it takes is one time to fail. And now all of a sudden you've turned this very strong line into support. Potentially you flipped it into resistance. So we don't want to do that. So to me, that's the most important thing that I'm looking at. These trips back down, bouncing off of 25 don't concern me too much, but a break below that would concern me. And I would look for potentially 20,000. I still think, I'm still very bullish, even by the end of the year and certainly by the halving. So even if any of that happens, in my opinion, it'll be a very quick move and go back quickly up over 25,000. But we'll see. It's premature. None of that's happened yet. So we'll have to wait and see. Mr. J said, buy and hold, long-term capital gains. I mean, that's where most of my money is. It's in the buy and hold. Yes, I do some options. I do some swing trading. So for those of you interested, not financial advice, certainly not recommending this, but I bought some October Bitfarms options at the $1.50 strike point. They were down to 15 cents. So I felt like that was a good risk reward. And again, you don't have to put, proportion to your portfolio. You don't have to invest that much money. I invest smaller amounts of money, and if I can pull, I look to pull a triple on those. When they work, it's pretty easy to pull a triple on those. When they don't work, sometimes I lose half of my money. There are times I've stuck it out and lost all my money that I've put in. I do have a stop loss point, but sometimes I'll stick with it, and especially if I'm buying things at 15 cents or 10 cents, and by that point, if it's at 5 cents, I'm just as likely to double down than I am to stop loss myself out. But again, smaller, much smaller dollars compared to my buy and hold investing that I do. So, but it adds up a little bit here, a little bit there. A win's a win. So we'll see. So you guys can see I'm in. I did, it was the August $50s, did very well for me. So I went, you know, for me, a little heavier than usual. I think I had 100 of those, and I got out of most of them, but I did get stuck with a few. But all in all in, that was about a triple for me, so that was good. So others in the past have gone the other way. So, and I do a lot of Bitfarms because proportionally, they have less premium built in, and they can have much bigger moves. So, less risk, higher reward for me, in my opinion. Raymond's asking, hi, thoughts on Cypher? Will they survive the halving? I like Cypher. I'm not invested in Cypher. I'm not sure when the last time I did a deep dive on Cypher was, but I do like that company. I think they have strong fundamentals. I think, you know, all things being equal, you know, unless something catastrophic happens, I have Cypher as one of the companies that, you know, even if Bitcoin doesn't do great things between now and the halving, as long as it's okay, I think Cypher is one of the better companies. That's my personal opinion. Although I'm not invested in them, I do like, and the reason I'm not invested in them is I think their stock price is a little rich for me. So their chances of surviving the halving, in my opinion, very high. But I'm going to go, let me find this. So if we look at market cap, Cypher's way up here in fourth. Again, this information is 1 week old, so I will update it again this weekend. But, you know, it's relatively close. They're the fourth largest market cap. Until BitDeer came out in April, they were the third largest by market cap. So, you know, they're bigger than CleanSpark. They're bigger than HUT. You know, HUT has 9,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and Cypher has a bigger market cap. CleanSpark's, you know, at 10 exahash on the way, or 9 or 10 or whatever, on the way to 16, and Cypher has a bigger market cap. So that doesn't mean it's a bad investment. I think all of these companies, depending on your time frame, you know, if you're in this for 2 or 3 years, I think Cypher, you know, is going to be way up from here, in my opinion. But I just think there's others that, for me, represent a better risk reward. But as far as the halving goes, I'm not worried about Cypher at all. My personal opinion. Stephen Andrews is saying, yes, but Tom, if ETF passes, will that 90% certainty get us to Bitcoin 125K by the end of 2024? So I don't know what the number is, but I think you can expect an all-time high, and then, you know, is it 100? Is it 125? You know, things can take longer than you want them to, but I do think you're going to see a massive push, certainly in my opinion, past the all-time high for starters, and then we'll see where it goes from there. And here's the thing. This is why it's hard to predict. As you guys know, FOMO is real. The market, you know, is about momentum. So it's just as likely, you know, Bitcoin overshoots and goes to 150 or 175 or some other number, you know, and then maybe we get a cool off or a crypto winner and pull back from there. But so it's really hard to guess precisely how much Bitcoin's going to be and when it's going to happen. But directionally speaking, I do think there's gigantic moves. Yes, 100,000, 125,000, 150,000. You know, there are very popular people who you all know who have price targets of 500,000, a million. I've seen people with larger than a million price target, you know, and those price targets tend to get out to 2028 or 2030. But you know what? That's only 7 years from now, 5 to 7 years from now. If Bitcoin was even 500,000 5 years from now, you know, there's some of these companies are going to pull, in my opinion, 50Xs, maybe 100Xs. Even if it's a 20X in 5 years, that return is incredible. Yes, some of them are going to go out of business also. and some of them will pull a 2x or a 3x. So, they're going to run the spectrum, but there is opportunity, and it's not unprecedented. These companies, Riot and Marathon, both have already had a part of their cycle where they've had a 40x, 40x. So they've already done that before. So is it impossible to think that they'll do it again? Not at Bitcoin $500,000, but, maybe that's 5 years from now. Maybe that's 7 years from now. I don't know. All right, let's see. Let me try to catch up. Edmund saying Iris Energy should release their yearly report this month, expecting great second half 2023 for Iris. So Iris is one of the ones. I know Edmund's been on Iris all along, so shout out to Edmund. He's been very vocal in the members only Discord and in the members only live stream. And that he was on Iris before I was on Iris. So I like that company a lot. I am waiting for their financial statements. So they have not issued their June 30th financial statements. That's their fiscal year end. So we're going to get a really good look. I think by September 15th, we'll get those. So that's coming right up. I really want to get a look at those. I have a bunch of analysis that I want to get out in different videos comparing all the Bitcoin miners, but I don't want to leave Iris Energy out. So I've waited on, doing those videos until I can plug Iris Energy in. But they need to report first. So yeah, I'm once again impatiently waiting for them to release their numbers. I think September 15th is their date where, it's then or before. Crypto Fever saying, Tom, if 25K fails, I'm looking for 23.5 to 23.8 to hold GBTC decision, and former SEC interview makes me think we have high chances of getting approval sooner than January now. Yeah, if we get that sooner than January, and I hear a lot of people talking about that, or, January something is a drop dead date, but I don't know. I know they keep finding ways to push this off, so I hope you're right, Crypto Fever. The sooner the better. It's already long overdue in my opinion, but if it takes 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, I'm not going to worry about it. For me, that's why I continue to dollar cost average into the Bitcoin miners that I have a high conviction in. I do think that's part of the story, that there will be Bitcoin ETFs at some point sooner than later, certainly in 2024, in my opinion. October, best case scenario. So to me, that would be a very optimistic scenario. But having said that, like I said, I feel like they're already a year and a half too late on this. There's no legitimate reason. And, I would debate that with anybody. There's really no legitimate reason that there's not a Bitcoin spot ETF. It makes no sense. Their argument, as we found out, SEC's argument, even the courts rejected it and said nonsense, not acceptable. So because it is nonsense. So that's the reason that I have I give it such a high probability. There's no legitimate line of reasoning for them not to allow that. In addition to that, the fact that everybody has applied for it, including BlackRock, as people like to mention. BlackRock does not apply for ETFs for fun, right? They've gotten every single one they've ever applied for with the exception of one. So, I think that's over 500. So this is happening. Mocha Nut said, I'm a fan of Iris. They are doing some great initiatives with What Bitcoin Did podcast, and I met some of the team at WBD meetup. Smart folks, good vision. So that's good to hear. You got to meet some in person. I have not met them. I have not yet done an interview with anybody from Iris Energy. I've seen some of their presentations. Obviously, I've done as much of a deep dive as I can. I'm really waiting for them to get their financials out But in the meantime, we get monthly operational reports. We see what they're doing. And I like what I see, but you got to meet them a little more up close and personal. So thanks for the heads up on that. Sour Melon Gaming, what numbers made you unsure about holding Wolf at the halving? So I think I did mention that. I don't know if that was in the members only stream or the live stream for everybody. I have some concerns about Wolf, so I'll just, I'll tell you what they are. I'd like to do a video and do a little deeper dive, so I'm not, just talking off the top of my head here. But their debt is concerning to me. So they do have a significant amount of debt. Now, they restructured that debt. So, that's an important caveat. They completely restructured all their debt. So, but there's a time limit on that. And they didn't make it go away. Some of these companies got rid of their debt at whatever the cost was. They gave back a lot of their machines in some instances. They sold major portions of their facilities like Argo Blockchain. Iris Energy gave back most of their machines, but they got rid of 100% of their debt. TeraWolf was able to restructure all their debt. I believe 100% of their debt was restructured to much better terms, but it's still there. And looking from a cash flow standpoint, if Bitcoin isn't doing what we hope we want it to do, their cash equation looks less attractive to me than a lot of their peers. In addition to that, I'm just going to pull this up and find it, and I'll just show you guys, because this is information they report. It's no secret, so they're not hiding it. They're telling us the information. So, Paul Prager has been buying up shares. So, I like that. And, 50,000 shares is not a lot of shares, right? The share price of this is $2, so it's 100 grand. Now, I say that cavalier, but, that is a lot of money, but relatively speaking. But this is not the only 50,000 shares. He has continuously bought shares. So, I listened to him. Bryce McNally did interview him recently, and I got a very good sense listening to him and listening to that interview, but it doesn't change the numbers. So I'm going to bring up the numbers and show you what I'm talking about. So again, this is not me with my opinion. I'm just showing you the numbers. Power cost per Bitcoin, $11,963, call it $12,000 per Bitcoin. This was not their thesis. So I'm going to go back a little bit. So they and it's just changed on them, and I think I know why, and that's why I want to do a deep dive and talk more about this. So let's go back to, this is their January update. So you can see in January of 2023, that was 9,400. Let me keep going. In February of 2023, that was 7,900. So, this kept trending down. So projecting forward with them with a cost of 6,000 or 7,000 or 8,000 power cost per coin is very different than 12,000 per coin. And I do think their numbers are going to skew up over time because the larger portion of what they're bringing online is more expensive. The power purchase agreement is much higher, and functionally speaking, from an operational standpoint, and maybe their operations will get more efficient, but they're trending towards more of a $12,000 cost per coin. Well, that's very similar to a lot of the companies that have zero debt. So let me get back to the press release. Right, so this is not me spreading FUD, and, I'm not hating on Wolf. If Bitcoin does well, right, at Bitcoin 50,000 even at the halving, which I think is extremely realistic, I know that's not the consensus anymore, then probably TeraWulf does just fine. You know, maybe they excel even. But if you're looking at risk reward, if Bitcoin doesn't do everything that we hope it's going to do as fast as we hope it's going to do it, this number concerns me. Their debt number concerns me. So, you know, that doesn't mean I think it's a bad company. I just think for me personally, it's not the best risk reward. You know, Paul was going to come on the channel. I think he had something going on where he had to reschedule with everybody, and I haven't gotten back around to getting him on the channel. So let's just do a quick interview. Is anybody interested? Okay, super quick poll. Are you guys interested in getting Paul on the channel? And I mean, these are simple questions I can ask him, and you know, he can give us an answer. I'm sure this is not going to be a newsflash for him. He knows his company a lot better than I know his company, so. But you asked the question, you know, what are my concerns? Those are my concerns. Are they deal breakers? You know, maybe they're not deal breakers, but they push me more towards a Bitfarms, for instance, that I know they're going to, you know, they're down to $11 million in debt, and they're going to be at zero debt going into the halving. So those are the, you know, and it's not just those things. There's an awful lot of things that go into making the decision for which, you know, which stocks you're comfortable with. So obviously this is never financial advice. I'm not trying to say bad things about TeraWulf. I wish them all the success in the world. And again, I did listen to Paul talk with Bryce McNally, and I thought it was a great interview. And he seems like he's got a high level of conviction. He's buying the stock himself. So, you know, there's arguments to be made on both sides. Edmund is saying, Tom, are you missing the increased energy price for Wolf due to the hot weather in New York? This should reduce in September, October. So I think some of that is true, but so that's why I want to wait and see. Is that going to bring their costs down? I don't think it's ever going to get back down to for a while, it looked like they were bouncing between 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 on a bad month. I don't think they're ever getting back to those numbers. That's my personal opinion. If 6 months from now I find out I'm wrong, I'll change my mind about that. But to me, it has most to do with their very cheapest energy that they get is from, you know, a spot where they're, and I don't want to misquote this, but they have a joint venture, and I think they now even hold a lot less of that joint venture. They had a 50-50 joint venture. They may now only be 25% partners in that joint venture, and that's where their cheapest electricity was coming from. So, again, double check me on that because, you know, I've read an awful lot of information about an awful lot of companies. So, you know, on these live streams, as I talk off the top of my head, you know, please double check and make sure I'm getting that stuff right. But that's how I'm recollecting it right now. So let me know and let everybody know if you know differently. And obviously, if you're going to buy the stock, please never rely on what I'm saying here. Everybody knows that. Do your own due diligence. Edmund's saying, I sold all the Wolf to buy Iris since then, bought some lately. I mean, I know, Edmund, I know you're super convicted in Iris Energy. That is one of 3 that I continue to buy into. I bought all 3 of them. Between yesterday and today, I averaged into the 3 I've been doing, which are Cleanspark, Iris Energy, and Bitfarms. I know people have differences of opinion. By the way, I just saw we have a special guest coming in. George.
Special, wow. That feels really nice. Thank you.
Special guest. We're at 80 likes. We're at 80 likes. Can George get us to 100 likes?
I don't know.
Come on, George. You can do it.
I had the call. I just watched what was his name? BitBoy Crypto, or is that his name?
Oh.
I just watched like an apology video from him.
Interesting. I was just
like, you know what?
What does he have to say? Because I for the very first time last night, I had no idea what's going on, and I'm still not sure I have any idea what's going on there. But I did for the first time read a little something, and they're saying he got ousted from, he was the founder of that, and somehow, apparently, he's put himself in a position where he got ousted from the whole thing. Is that where it's at? And it sounds like he's now apologizing. Yeah. What's happening?
Yeah, so he is saying that I guess he had an affair and, he was taking some steroids and something else to help speed up your metabolism. Some FEN. It wasn't fentanyl, or it's something okay to take.
Just so you know, you're breaking up a little. I don't know if you're moving around.
You know what I mean? You can take. It's a legal drug. And he said that just made him go easy. Oh. No, I'm driving. Is that better?
Yeah. Oh, so he's saying that's the reason his behavior was erratic, because
yeah, that's what yeah. Okay. I mean, that's what he's saying. But I'm almost thinking, Tom, that it's a ploy to get more people to watch their channel, because he's like, well, we have new products coming out, and he just listed them all off. I said, dude, I wonder if this is just the ultimate in a fake to get more people to be interested in.
After the short thing that I watched last night, I have the exact same opinion, George, just so that you know. And I have not done a deep dive on this at all. But that was my reaction. It's like, is this all? Because all of a sudden, I Googled it, and a million things came up. So my first thought was, isn't that convenient? All of a sudden, he's the most trending thing on the internet. So.
Yeah, I know. And I was just like, I think, and knowing him and knowing how they are, I was just like, dude, people are falling for this BS. And I was just like, that's unbelievable. Who cares if you had an affair? I don't care. That's between you and your wife.
That would have,
you know what I mean?
Right. So his response doesn't even make sense. Why would your business partners oust you out of your, first of all, I don't know what business model they have without him, but he is the channel. So
it's funny, Tom. So yesterday I was scrolling through TikTok and I came to his channel, and you should have seen how I watched it for 5 minutes. And it was just like, it was the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. I was just like, this is awful.
Right. He built a brand.
Awful.
He built a brand, and, I'm sure a lot of other people contribute. That's a very big, website. So, but, they built a brand. They chose to build the brand around him. So, as a function, that's hard to kick him out for something he did in his personal life. Now, if there's principled reasons where, if it was something, with the finances or whatever the case may be, there'd be other reasons like that. But I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know. I have no knowledge, but my knee-jerk reaction was, is this real?
Well, and then, think about you do an apology and you start list off all the new coins you have coming out, all the new stuff you're working on. It's like, that's an apology? I was like, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's not an apology. So somebody's asking, who are we talking about? We're talking about BitBoy. It's a big cryptocurrency channel. It's a big Bitcoin. He's a big personality in Bitcoin. So, George and I don't necessarily watch him very much, if at all, but he does have a gigantic following. So, that's why we're mentioning
Probably the biggest, honestly.
Huh?
Probably the biggest.
Yeah, he's probably the biggest.
Yeah,
saying
he
extremely
probably
toxic energy and a huge pump and dumper.
Yeah, I'm sure. That seems like his MO. Yeah, I guess so.
Edmund saying made over 100K on Wolf thanks to Tom's quote recommendation.
Nice.
Edmund, I know, has made some very good trades. So nice work, Edmund. JD,
I can tell you,
stream.
I got in and out of CleanSpark. I got out of it. Now I'm back in it again.
Oh, you got in and out and in? All right. Welcome back.
Yeah. You got to see. So we're in Atlanta's traffic, and they shut down the expressway, so we have to go the back roads. Oh my goodness, people must hate Waze, because there's literally thousands of cars on the road now.
I want to
back road.
Tom K, so that I don't mispronounce your last name, Tom. Tom K, who is a member, said, anybody buy Midgie down at the low? It bounced 100% this week. So just so you know, I did get in on that trade. And in the members only Discord, I did let everybody know as soon as it was up 100%, I made a note in the members only Discord. So if anybody, did that on their own, congratulations. Anybody who got in on that trade, congratulations, because it was a very quick 100% move. And I don't know.
Did you sell out?
I'm out. For me, that was it.
Nice.
I think there's a lot more room to the upside, but everything kind of pulled back, and that I was very tempted. I almost pressed the button on buying back in, and I said, you know what? Nope, this was not my plan. I'm not. That was FOMO. It was dropping. It was dropping twice as fast as everything else. Once it hit that high and it got past the double, I didn't time it perfectly. I didn't catch the bottom or the top, but I still was able to catch a double in the middle. But I'm just leaving well enough alone. That was that. And those opportunities, those are the ones that I'm talking about. Like, that's not the majority of what we do here, but when they present themselves, they're, people make money on those trades.
And it seemed like you caught a lot of flack for that one, Tom.
You know what? I did. There was a few people who were disgusted with me for even talking about that. But you know what? We can't worry about that. You cannot please all of the people all of the time. So, for anybody that jumped in on that and benefited, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to share information with each other. And that's why we have members and a membership. We're all sharing information. So what everybody does with that information is their own business. But that's what we're here to do, is talk about stuff.
And one of the things that I don't think we've really mentioned on Friday, Tom, is that we do a deep dive. The members pick a stock, and then Tom does a deep dive on that stock.
Yes. So each week, the members, and you broke up a little bit, but I did catch what you said.
Tom. Okay.
Each week, the members get to pick them. On our members-only live stream, the members recommend stocks that they like, that they're knowledgeable on, in areas that maybe I may not be that knowledgeable on. And then, so we vote, we pick a stock, and then I do a deep dive. So I will tell you, depending on the company they pick, I spend anywhere from, the shortest one was probably 8 hours. There was one that I probably spent 30 or 40 hours on deep diving, because it was a very complicated. There have been a couple. There was a little streak in a row where I was like, are these guys messing with me? Because they're picking the most complicated stocks out there. But they were good companies and fascinating deep dives, but a couple of them were really tough to do. But thanks to all the members, we get a lot of great recommendations, and it allows us to do a lot of deep dives. And and I think George brought that up, because that's part of our sharing. Like, I didn't know those companies. I didn't even know those companies existed for the most part. Every once in a while, like this week, Hut 8 was my deep dive. That is inside of our industry. That's very rare, but I thought it was timely. The members voted on it, and, they're about to have a major event in a potential, quote, merger of equals. So I thought that was worth doing, even though it's inside of our space. Most of them are, across the board in, anything under the sun. With one exception. I don't do biopharmaceuticals because I am ignorant to that entire industry, to the point where my opinion, in my opinion, would be worthless.
What about marijuana stocks?
I think those, for the time being and for the indefinite future, those are not doing well. I think their time has come and gone, and maybe at some point in the future they'll circle back around. And I don't spend a lot of time. They're not complicated, but I don't invest in any, and they have not done well lately.
You just think it's was just going up in smoke.
I think that could be, George. I think that definitely could be. Come on. That's got to be good for 100 likes. Smash the like button for George. Oh, you know what else? That gets a George. That gets a George button. We have 2 George buttons.
Oh, my little icon. Yeah.
Gave you the George button, and then we'll give you the other George button. Here all week. He's here all week, folks, but only live on Friday.
I'm stuck in traffic now, so the signal should be good, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. You're stuck in a good spot. Robert, I probably missed you, but he said got to run, so have a good weekend.
So, Tom, what's the best valued Bitcoin miner right now?
The best value. Well, I will. Let me end this poll, and then I'll answer that question. Are you interested in an interview with Paul? We got 40 votes, 41 now. 68% said yes, 32% said no. So about 2/3 are interested. So not overwhelming interest by any means here. So what I think I will put him back in and see if we can coordinate. We had coordinated. We had picked a time he was going to come on the channel, and, you know, something came up. So it didn't happen. So maybe we'll see if we can do that again. But I do have 2 or 3 people lined up. So, you know, maybe in a month or 2. Hopefully by then, you know, as Bitcoin gets a little more active, people get more interested in these interviews. And I would love to ask them those questions, because I think, you know, for the most part, so far, the Bitcoin mining executives have not been afraid to come on and answer tough questions on the channel. I haven't had anybody, I haven't run into that situation. So, you know, I asked the question and the answer is what it is. So we'll see. So I'll put him back on the list. Thanks for voting, everybody. I'll end that vote. George is asking me which Bitcoin miner do I think is the best value right now. So, you know, the 3 that I seem to have relatively the same level of conviction in right now that I think are the most undervalued is Iris Energy. Now, that I might change my mind after their report. They're about to give their annual report, you know, in the next couple of weeks. Now, it's not going to dramatically change my mind because they provide enough information through their monthly reports that I do have a high level of conviction in them. You know, I can glean enough information from the information they provide to understand what's going on, but you do always get a little bit better picture when you get their actual financial statements. So I'm waiting for that. But in the meantime, I've been adding to that on a regular basis. I did a video today. I think people are missing the picture on Bitfarms. A lot of people disagree with me on Bitfarms. Some people think I'm not right in the head for investing and dollar cost averaging into Bitfarms. I encourage you to watch the video I put out today, why I'm buying Bitfarms. Again, not financial advice. You guys do whatever you want, but I put out the case. I go through their monthly update. I look at their financial statements a little bit, and I talk about why I think they're just undervalued. So, to me, that's one. And then Cleanspark. But I'll tell you, I'm going to go to a chart. The reason... So, if you take a look at the 3 that I mentioned, you know, Iris Energy is the 11th largest market cap. They're 1/10 the market cap at this point of Riot and Marathon. So this list you're looking at is 1 week old, so the numbers have all changed by a little bit. So they're roughly 1/10 the size of a Riot or a Marathon. And I'm not saying that they're equals, but I'm going to go to another chart real quickly. Or slowly, depending on how fast I can get there. This is the amount of Bitcoin these companies mined in the month of July. So we're starting to get August numbers. Only Bitfarms so far has put out their numbers. So in July, Iris Energy, so this includes Core Scientific. So including Core Scientific, which, you know, I have another chart that does not include them. Oh, well, I actually added that to that. In any instance, okay, so let's include Core Scientific. Marathon and Core Scientific are mining a significant amount more than everybody else. But then you have Cleanspark and Iris Energy. So I count them as third because technically Core Scientific is no longer a NASDAQ stock. They're traded over the counter. They're in Chapter 11. So you can see they're mining more than Riot, and that's not totally fair because Riot makes a lot of money selling energy as well back to the grid, or they get energy credits, effectively making money. But, Riot's in third place in number of Bitcoin mined, and they're 11th place in market cap. They have no debt. So, if their balance sheet was a wreck, their current ratio was bad, they had a lot of debt, they were in a cash flow problem, then I'd say, oh, I understand why they're so much less. But I don't think any of those things are true. So I'm just not sure why the discrepancy. So to me, Iris Energy is a little bit out of order. In my opinion, I think Bitfarms is a little bit out of order. They mined 378 Bitcoin. Yet from a market cap standpoint, let's go back to the other chart. And again, these numbers have changed because they're a week old. So, double check my numbers. But you'll see Bitfarms here at number 8 at $344 million at that point. So to me, at 378 Bitcoin mined, I just feel like they're a bigger, better company than this. So a part of this, a big part of the picture is not which one's the best company, right? The question George asked me was, which one's the most undervalued? So that's why I feel those are undervalued. CleanSpark at 5th place, to me, represents a very similar, they're in the neighborhood, from operationally speaking, of, maybe, Marathon is kind of pulled away from the pack, but, certainly they have a much smaller market cap, less than half the market cap of a BitDeer, a third of the market cap of a Riot. So, those are the ones I try to look at market cap versus, the value that I think the company is worth based on their performance and their financial statements. So those remain my top 3. There are others. Those aren't the only 3 that I think are undervalued. There's a lot of companies that I think are a good buy right now. If I were to say buy or sell, there's a bunch of these that I think are worth buying. But those are the ones. Some of it also has to just do with your own level of conviction. So because I have a very strong level of conviction in those, I know if the stock price goes bad, I know I'm going to buy more, not sell out. So I don't, and that's what, what you don't want to do is buy high, something goes wrong, not from a operational standpoint, but something goes wrong from a market event occurs, or the stock just has a pullback for whatever reason, and you panic sell out. So that's a big part of the puzzle. So Iris does sell their Bitcoin. They do not have a stack of Bitcoin, and I'll double check and see if it's more than 0, but it's either 0 or something close to 0. So that's a factor, right? I mean, you've got companies like on the other extreme, you've got HUT, whose mines very little Bitcoin right now, although that's about to change if this merger goes through, which I think is highly probable. They mine very little Bitcoin at the moment, but they have the second largest stack of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Very little debt, negligible amount of debt, 9,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So, that's a strong argument for HUT. So, you can make arguments for or against all of these. That's a company I like. It's not one of the ones that I'm adding to right now. I think there's going to be an opportunity to buy HUT. That's my personal opinion. So if the opportunity presents itself, I will add to my HUT position. Tim is saying Marathon's running away from the pack. So from a production standpoint, they're running away from the pack. They're gearing up. They're at or near their 23 exahash at long last. I know a lot of people are frustrated that it took them a year or more than a year longer than they thought. But, they have pulled away from a production standpoint. They're pulling away from the pack.
If it's shut down,
I do think CleanSpark is going to close that gap quite a bit between now and December. So, and it will probably be closer to December, because they have a lot of construction to do. So even if it's December or January of 2024, sometime before the halving, I think CleanSpark is going to close a lot of the gap in production between themselves and Marathon. I don't think they're going to catch and pass them, but I think they'll be in a solid second. Riot has put out a plan to get to 20.7 exahash, sometime in 2024. So we'll see if they start to increase their output of Bitcoin. We'll see. That remains to be proven. From a standpoint of Riot, they've sold a lot of energy and gotten a lot of energy credits, but their Bitcoin mining numbers themselves have been lower than expected, in my opinion. I do think Riot's that's one of my larger positions. I think they have a rock-solid balance sheet, the best balance sheet in the business. So there's a lot of good stuff there, but their mining numbers, I think, could use some room for improvement.
Another thing I was thinking about this with CleanSpark is no one has went through and looked at how much energy these Bitcoin miners are using, and then how much that's helping out these small little towns. It's insane what they told me. To think that there's going to be that they're generating for just a podunk little town in Georgia.
Well, you're talking about the tax revenue.
Yeah, just the tax revenue. It's insane. Well, it's insane. Just the taxes off of, paying this exorbitant amount of money for electric.
They provide infrastructure. They provide tax revenue. There's sometime sooner or later, that's another thing that's going to change over the course of time and increase adoption and increase awareness. Right now there's FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And a lot of that is just misinformation regarding the impact that Bitcoin has on the electric grid and the environment, etc. I believe the story is completely the reverse of what, a lot of people have put out there. Like you're saying, they provide tax revenue. But in addition to that, I would venture to guess, as a percentage, they probably have the most green energy of any industry in the entire financial world. So, it's hard to argue that they're not green if they're by percentage, use the most green energy out of anybody. And they provide, additional infrastructure in areas that allow people that didn't have access to energy or had a shortfall of energy. They're filling the gaps to give the world energy and to move to the new grid. That's my thesis in a nutshell.
And
go.
And another thing, Tom, and this is another thing that they don't really talk about, or we haven't been able to get the message out to the masses. And that is that when they're good neighbors. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're running a tool and die company and they use a lot of electric, okay? They need that power during the day. Bitcoin, they can shut it down for the day and then crank it back up at night.
That's exactly
when the power consumption's way lower.
And that's what most of these Bitcoin miners that are publicly traded anyway, that, to your point, they are good neighbors. They're enhancing the grid because they have total flexibility, right? It's not like their stuff's going to melt or they can't make, they can shut down whenever they want. And they do. Sometimes they get paid to do so, and that's okay. Other times they participate freely in curtailment. All of that helps the communities around them. And they moved into a lot of small communities throughout Georgia, throughout Texas. Those are the two main right now, but there are several other states. And, I did see a post today that there's a bunch of other states that are about to aggressively go after these Bitcoin miners and start offering incentives for them to come because they want the same benefits.
Well, it's funny because when I met with the local city I live in, I said, man, you guys really messed up. And I started telling them the numbers that these other cities are getting. They're just like, wow, we had no idea. No idea. And with this emergent technology that they have, the sound is very minimal.
See, that's interesting. You got to firsthand listen to that. George was able to take a tour of one of the facilities that CleanSpark has in Georgia, and I think he's going to go to a few more over time as he gets the time. And so you got to hear firsthand, that it's not this, because a lot of that was another big complaint, the noise pollution, it's unbearable. Well, a lot of these are far away from, you know, where the population is, and you know, you're saying that the immersion cooling ones don't really make that much noise versus what, you know, what the word is out there about them.
This intersection isn't.
Yeah. The traffic. So they're putting in a new bridge on 85, and I'm telling you, I've never seen so much traffic in my life. I'm talking miles and miles and miles and miles and miles.
Well, Craig, who is
I
a
don't
member,
know.
said, George, it must suck to be stuck in
Looks like
traffic
it's-
in a Lambo.
No, I drove the Ferrari today. I didn't drive the Lambo.
Oh, that's so you should be
Long
able to
distance, it's just no good.
zip through traffic.
Yeah.
JD said, is immersion cooling scalable? So I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, the answer to that is yes, for sure. And there's a lot more immersion cooling coming. Yes, I'm
And it's
getting a warning.
nothing like you think it is.
Sour Melon Gaming saying, Tom, you should
You're
live
getting a
stream
warning.
the tour on. I'm getting a warning. I got like 8 minutes left to stream today because technical support needs the room.
Oh. Well, we got
This is
today's
not a
my
sock
son's
on the door
18th
situation.
birthday.
Yes, I know you have a birthday to attend to, so thank you, George, for jumping
works
in.
out well.
Surprise visit from George.
Yeah.
So appreciate your time, and yes, I think George is going to get some footage, Sour Melon Gaming, from. Oh, he's saying a live stream. I don't know if you want to do a live stream from one of these spots, but I think you're going to get some footage here as we go.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I don't know. I don't think they really want that because you know what I mean. It is. I don't think it's proprietary, but you know, they have a very good professional setup. I'll give them that.
Well, we'll get some, one way or the other, we'll get some footage. So, all right, so I'm gonna wrap up. This is a little bit earlier than we usually wrap our live stream, but it is a holiday weekend, and I know George needs to go.
Did we get to 100, Tom?
We got to 96.
Did we get to 100?
96. The George factor almost got us there, but not quite.
No, I didn't even. Not even 10 people. 10 people don't even like me. Oh my goodness, that hurts. I think I'm gonna go have an affair on my wife.
No, that doesn't make any sense. What are you, Bit Boy? Or whatever his name is?
Oh, wait, I can't even say I'm minor boy.
Oh my gosh.
Ross is saying, have a great
Okay.
weekend. JD is saying, thanks, Tom and George. Have a good one. Thank you, everybody. Special thanks to all the members. And thank you to everybody for joining us on the live stream. I know this was not the best week. Tuesday, it looked like it was going to be the best week, but it took a turn. But we'll see what happens over the weekend. Go Bitcoin. Let's hold 25,000 if we can. Happy birthday to George's son. And everybody enjoy. If you're in the U.S., enjoy a long weekend. If you're elsewhere, enjoy your weekend anyway. And all right, and we'll see you guys. We'll see the members on the live stream. Thanks, George. See ya. We'll see the members on the live stream Tuesday after the market closes, and we'll see everybody next Friday. So thanks again for watching. If you're interested in joining and being a member, you can hit the join button on the YouTube page. It's only $5 a month. It's much appreciated. It does help support the channel, and I do think there's a lot of value. Edmund's saying it's showing 101 likes, so some people came through at the last minute to get us to 100. Much appreciated. Thanks, Edmund. Thanks, Nash V. Everybody have a good night. Calvin. All right, thanks again, and have a good night, and have a great weekend.